Hi, my name is Alan Williams. Welcome to my third Tableau video tutorial. This one is going to focus on folders, hierarchies, and drill down. The data set we're going to be using was created in the first video that I created for Tableau, Introduction and Connecting to Data. So that's going to be the starting point. If you want to understand the data we're working with and how we got to the starting point of this video, I'd encourage you to watch this one first. The data set we're working with has three different sources. The reseller sales was an Excel spreadsheet, employees was a Google sheet, and product lines was a CSV file. So we use cross database joins, a new feature in Tableau 10. And we're working with a TWBX file. That means this Tableau file has all of the data included in the file. So the data extract that we obtained by creating the cross database join is included in this Tableau file. So we're not going to be accessing the data source tab here. Any changes we make to any of the objects we can make in the worksheet view. First thing I want to do here is clean up or just make some of these descriptions better for some of these dimensions. So I did this in the first video in the data source tab. Here I'm going to do it right in worksheet view, so I can just right click on any of these objects and say rename. In this case I just want it to be product category. I don't need to say English product category name. And I'll do the same thing for the subcategory. Rename subcategory name. And for the product name itself, I just want that to be, I don't want it to be English product name, I just want it to be product name. So okay, so very easy to change the names of the dimensions and measures when you're in worksheet view. I'm going to pause the video and change a few more, and then we'll get started. There's a few key fields that were brought in, keys that were used to join the data sources. I know that I'm not going to need these when I create my Tableau worksheets. For example, employee key. It was needed to join the employees table to the reseller sales table. So I don't want this available. I can just right click and say hide. Also want to do that for the employee key field down here. Right click and hide. And the product line code, don't need that, I just need the description, so I can hide that as well. Another item I like to point out, I did point out in my first video, was by default when you bring in data into Tableau, at least as far as I can tell, any numeric value is treated as a measure. And in this case, most of the items we have by default as measures we want to be measures, but for example, days to manufacture, this really isn't a measure, it's a dimension of the days to manufacture the product. So I'm just going to bring it up to reseller sales. It's not really a measure. And the other one is the weight of the product, bringing that up to reseller sales. We don't need them in measures because we're not going to be measuring those values. Now I'd like to group my dimensions into folders. So by default, when we have multiple connections up here, so we have multiple tables, the view that you have is grouped by table. So employees, product lines, and reseller sales. But let's say, for example, I wanted all my products to be in a separate folder here just to make it more intuitive. If I right click on one of these items, you'll see that folders is grayed out. And there's a reason for that. First, I have to tell Tableau that I want to group by folder. When I do that, I'm not seeing any folders here for the data source. So now that I have the folder view on, I want to group some of these items into logical folders. So we'll say all these product items, I'm just going to select and number them. And I'm going to right click and folders, create folder. I'm just going to call this products. And we can see up here it's created a folder. So this, I'm not grouping anything in terms of how the data will look in a worksheet. That's a separate topic. This is just for viewing and for easy access to dimensions that you've created. So let's just do another one here. We'll take the sales, the different geographic descriptors here, and I'll just create a folder for that, and we'll just call it geography. So now I've got geography and products. I'm going to pause the video and create some more folders. So I've cleaned up these folders a little bit. So I've got a products folder. I've added some more dimensions into it than I did before. Also, this product subcategory, earlier in the video I'd called it subcategory name. I think just to be consistent I've called it product subcategory, and I can just drag it into this folder. It'll drop it in there. The other thing I've done, I've created geography folder earlier, employee folder, order information. I've decided the size range is not something that I need in my visualization, so I'm just gonna hide this. So now I've got all of my dimensions into 4 logical folders. Makes it easier to find what I'm looking for. So now I'd like to create some hierarchies in Tableau. So I have my data, I have my employee folder, geography, order information, and products. So one way that you can create hierarchies is to drag an item over top of another. So for example, product subcategory, drag it over category, and nothing's happening here. So there's a reason for that. And this is something that I had to figure out on my own, because typically you should be able to do this. But because I'm looking at this in this folder view, it's not letting me do that. So if I switch, I just click on any of those guys, say group by data source table. Now if I drag product subcategory over top of product category, I'm getting a prompt here to create hierarchy. I'm just going to call this products. Say OK. So now we have the products hierarchy, and I want to drag the product name into there. I'm going to go down here, and there we go. So we have this products hierarchy now. There's a different way to do this if you're in the group by folder. So I'm going to undo this, what I just done there. So now I'm going to go into group by folder. So again, dragging subcategory over category isn't doing nothing for me, but if I right click on product category, go to hierarchy and create hierarchy, now it's letting me create the hierarchy this way. So I'm just going to say products. Okay. So now it's got product categories. Now I can drag product subcategory in there underneath product category and product name. So these 3 do represent a hierarchy defined at the database level. Just to show you how this works, so now if I drag in, let's see, sales amount into the column shelf, and I drag in products into the rows, so I'm seeing the product category as the first level, but I see a plus sign beside product category. If I click on that, now I'm seeing all the subcategories for each product. If I click on the plus sign here, now I'm seeing all the products within each subcategory. So very easy, as you can see, to create a hierarchy in Tableau. Now if I wanted to, let's say for instance I wanted to have product subcategory not be part of this hierarchy, or I wanted it to be part of the hierarchy I've defined here, but I also want to use it as a standalone dimension, not just as part of this hierarchy. If I right click on product subcategory, say duplicate, now you can see down here it's created product subcategory copy. I'm just going to rename this to product subcategory standalone, just representing the fact that it's a standalone item. So I can just get rid of product category hierarchy up here, bring in product subcategory, so you can see now I'm not seeing the hierarchy here. It's time to look at how Tableau handles date hierarchies. So I haven't defined any hierarchies here. I have a ship date, order date, and due date. It's part of my order information. So let's just bring in, again, we'll bring in sales to the rows, and we'll bring in order date to the columns. So what we have here is a line chart for each of the 4 years we have data for. And by default, Tableau has created a hierarchy. So year, and then it identifies the quarters for each year that we have data for, and then month, and then day. So you can see, you can get pretty granular in terms of how Tableau can show your dates and show the hierarchy of dates that are available when users want to drill down. What we've been looking at so far are discrete dates, and the way I know that, if I click on this drop arrow and I see discrete is selected here, we know it's discrete. And when we have discrete selected, that allows us to drill down and gives us a separate pill for everything, for each level of drill that we do. Click on the minus sign, it brings it back up. And I want to show you what happens when we select continuous, but I want to use month as the basis for this. So one way I can do that, let's get the year off the columns here and bring back order date. This time I'm going to right click and drag order date to the column shelf. And when I do that, it allows me to select the level of granularity right from the beginning. So I'm going to select month here, say OK. So now we're still seeing discrete months. So what that means is we have data for 3 years in this data set. It's showing me the total sales for the Januaries that we have in the data, the Februaries, the Marches, and Aprils. What if we wanted to have it not shown as discrete but continuous? So the way I can do that, if I select the second month item here, you'll see the chart changes significantly. So now I'm seeing a separate point for every month that we have data for. So this would be February in 2006, in 2007, and 2008. And when we're in the continuous mode, as you can see down here, there's a bit of difference in behavior when we expand. We drill down from week, month to week to day. It's not giving us a separate pill. It's all on the same one. And I can quickly go back up to year just by doing this. And I can drill down again, starting at the year level. So far in this video, we've created folders to organize our data. We've created a custom hierarchy with the products, with the category, subcategory name. We've shown how Tableau handles dates as far as hierarchies go, the default behavior, and the fact that you can have discrete and continuous selected and with different behaviors. The other thing you can do with Tableau, when I hover over a data point and I click on a data point, I can click on this icon here. It says View Data. If I click on Full Data here, this is going to show me all the data that makes up that data point. I can then export this to a CSV file, so I'll just save the documents. I'll say test123 CSV. Now I'll go into my documents. And I'll open up that. It should open Excel. So now I could do further analysis of the data from that data point by saving this to a CSV file and opening up in Excel and doing whatever type of analysis I want to do in Excel. When you think of drill down, I mean, we've covered some of the default behavior with the dates and with the custom hierarchy that we've created. Let's put this back in here, the products, and we're able to drill down into whatever hierarchy that we define, and we can go click on a tooltip and we can view the data. So that is drilling down into different levels of detail. The other thing you can do in Tableau, and it's a video that I'll be producing at a later date, is to have worksheets that can drill into other worksheets and you can pass parameters. So for example, let's say this bar here, let's say I wanted to be able to click on this bar, have it open up another worksheet that showed me a lot more detail for the Mountain 200 Black 38 product name. We can do that in Tableau, and I will be covering that in a future video. I just want to mention it because it does relate to drilling down, but it's outside of the scope of this video. So this was Al Williams. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thanks for watching.